There is no single best loadout in Helldivers 2, not if you are playing on higher difficulties, and not if you are playing against each factions. Something that works against bots can be useless against bugs. For example, the smoke strikes. This is because every faction works differently. They have different strengths and weaknesses. Terminids fight up close and flank you. Automatons fight from range and snipe you. Illuminate can do both of those. So instead of using one loadout for every mission, I want to give you options against each faction. One loadout for bugs, one for bots, and one for the Illuminate. So these are the builds I will start from and the logic behind why they work. First, the Terminids. I will start with the stratagems, then weapons, and lastly the armor. I think one thing that you need against every Terminid subfaction is the orbital napalm barrage. Its cooldown is not long compared to how well it does against bugs. If you see a bug breach, just throw it there and it will usually solo it. The impacts do damage, but they also create fire that destroys the smaller enemies and softens up larger ones. Easily one of my favorite. The only downside is that it cannot destroy bug holes. However, if the mission takes place mostly in a cave, I would recommend switching this up to an exosuit. You can use an exosuit in a cave, but not the napalm strike. The next stratagem is the backpack slot. I like using the gas guard dog because it does a couple of things. It disorients enemies, slows them down and damages them. It can kill smaller bugs, but it can also protect you from chargers, because they just panic and turn in a different direction. Of course, you can choose other dog type backpacks too if you like something more. And if you want to play more aggressively, you can use the warp pack for dodging enemies and getting things done faster. For the next slot, I picked the Gatling or machine gun sentry, because it gives you another layer of protection. It can cover you if you get overwhelmed. You just need to be careful with the chargers. If you place a sentry down, the chargers become your top priority because they can one-shot the sentry. Alternatively, if you want more anti-tank, you can use the 500 kg bomb. For the support weapon, I use the Quasar cannon because it is simple and reliable. It does require some skill though to time your shots right, but if you mess up it's not a problem because it has infinite ammo. It can one-shot chargers and bile titans too if you aim at their heads. Now let's talk about the weapons and grenades. For primary, I use the crossbow or the eruptor. They can close bug holes and enemies are usually bunched up, so one projectile can kill a lot of bugs. But if you are up against the Predator's train, I would use something that can stagger enemies like the Cookout. Secondary, if you are already using an explosive primary, then I would go with the Talon. It has infinite ammo if you do not overheat it and medium penetration. It can deal with anything that gets too close for a crossbow shot. But if you are already using a non-explosive primary, my suggestion is to go with something that can close bug holes like the grenade pistol or the ultimatum for more anti-tank. For grenade, Thermite is a good option against chargers and other heavy enemies, but if you feel like you have enough anti-tank, you can go with the R grenade for smaller enemies. And lastly, for the armor. Medium armor is my go-to since you are too slow in heavy armor and get one shot in light armor. My favorite passive here is the medkit because it gives you more stims so you can make more mistakes. Alternatively, you can go with the inflammable passive if you are up against dragon roaches. So yes, these are my go-to options against Terminids. As I mentioned, some options are dependent on the subfactions. Next, Automatons. Automatons need a different approach. They move slower than bugs, but they punish you from much farther away. For the first slot, I am using the 500 kg bomb. It is not a complicated pick, but it does the job. If used well, it can destroy multiple turrets and fabricators while also killing enemies. And it is good for weakening factory striders and Vox engines. Against Cyborgs, I would swap this to the orbital Gatling barrage. The cooldown is around 1 minute and it does surprisingly good work against Vox engines. For the next slot, I recommend another red stratagem. The orbital laser is the comfortable pick here. It can clean up enemies when you get overwhelmed, or it can destroy fortresses. However, if you don't like the 3 use limit, I would bring something like the orbital 120mm barrage. The 120mm is less clean than the laser, but you can keep using it throughout the mission without limitations. On rapid acquisition missions, I will replace these two with the smoke strikes because the area is small and you need cover while you are carrying the bars. And if you want to snipe objectives from far, you can replace one with the anti-tank emplacement. It requires more skill but rewards you better. For the next one, I recommend the rocket sentry. It's an easy automated way of getting down hulks and other armored enemies when you get overwhelmed. But when you are against cyborgs, I would also replace this because Vox engines can destroy your sentries easily. For cyborgs, I would rather bring the basic guard dog. It helps to pick off radicals when they rush you, or if you are using the railgun, I would use the shield generator pack to protect you while you aim. For the support weapon, I'm going back to the Quasar cannon. It requires skill, but it has infinite ammo and it can one-shot hulks and fabricators from far away. Alternatively, as I mentioned before, you can use the railgun with the shield generator pack. If you take the railgun, make sure the rest of the build has enough anti-tank because factory striders became much harder to deal with. Now for the other parts of the loadout. For primary, Eruptor is an easy pick. It can destroy multiple enemies with one shot and it has a good range. But if you are up against cyborgs, radicals will usually rush you and you can't use that weapon up close. So for that situation, I would go with something like the Coyote, the Deadeye, or for long ranges, the Diligence Counter Sniper. For secondary, if you are already using an explosive primary, go with the Talon because it has medium penetration and it has infinite ammo. If your primary is not an explosive weapon, then I would recommend the Ultimatum for weakening Vox engines, factory striders and one-shotting a lot of enemies. For throwables, Termite is reliable, but you can also go with the Arc Grenade if you want more horde clear. And now for the armor. I like heavy armor, but you can probably get away with medium too. I would avoid light armor against the bots, too many things can delete you in one shot. For the passive, use something that gives you explosive resistance. There are a lot of rockets and cannons on the bot front, so I would recommend concussive padding or fortified. If you play against the incendiary core, then inflammable. And now here is a summary of the loadout. Okay, and the last faction, the Illuminate. They are a mixed bag, voteless are melee enemies, they can flank you, but harvesters shoot their lasers from far. For the first slot, pick something reliable that acts like a panic button. Both the 500 kg bomb and the Gatling barrage are good options. They can kill harvesters, larger hordes, flash mobs and ships. For the backpack, I would use either the basic guard dog or the gas guard dog. It helps clean up voteless without forcing you to constantly turn around. If you are playing against Appropriators, use the regular guard dog. It's better against the Uprooters. For the next slot, I like bringing a sentry, usually the Gatling sentry or the machine gun sentry. It can again help against the voteless and flash mobs, just be careful when placing it because harvesters and flash mobs can insta-kill them. Next, the support weapon. Regular anti-tank options can feel inefficient against the Illuminate. The reason is that they have a lot of well-designed weak spots with low armor rating, so simpler options will work too. That's why I chose the MG43 machine gun. Against harvesters, you need to aim for the leg joints. If you just spray the body, the machine gun feels much worse than it actually is. Or when you are fighting Appropriators, you can focus on the pilot. It can take them down in a reasonable time and it's also good against the voteless or flash mobs. It also strips shields quickly, which makes the rest of the loadout easier to use. Now the other weapons. For the primary, the Eruptor is a good all-around option. Once the ship shield is down, the Eruptor can destroy it with one shot through the entrance, but you can use the Coyote too if you want. For secondary, I would go with the Talon again because it is simple and reliable. For grenades, Termite is the safer default because it helps against ships and heavier targets, but if your build already has enough anti-tank damage, gas grenade or arc grenade gives you more control against groups. For the armor, I feel like medium is the best choice here because it gives you enough mobility and protection too. My favorite passive is the medkit passive because it gives you more stims, so you can make more mistakes. That said, this is probably the least strict armor choice of the three factions. Here is a quick rundown of the loadout. So that is Terminids, Automatons and the Illuminate. Three factions, three different loadout logics. So in short, against Terminids the key is area control and not getting overwhelmed. Against Automatons, armor, range and positioning matters the most. And against the Illuminate, flexibility is the most important part. These are the loadouts I would start from right now. Some slots can change depending on the subfaction, the mission type, or what your squad already brings, so you can copy them exactly or use them as a reference for your own builds. The main idea is to build around the faction first, then adjust the details. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to support the channel extra, you can also join as a member. There are 2 tiers, and if you want your name to appear on the support wall at the end of my videos, join the higher tier. Thanks for watching.